I'm going to brag about somebody. I'm going to brag about a player. I don't do that too often, do I? Actually, I never do that. I'm about to brag about a player who never plays. He doesn't play. And I think it's the coolest thing I can think of. I'm going to tell you something. And I hope you make this observation. You're going to say, my gosh, let it go, Ward. It's going to be nonstop of me bragging about a player who doesn't play. I like him so much by not playing. The restraint. You ready for it? The reason why this is in the news, no, he's sort of in the news. No one is going to be bragging like I am. But the reason why this is newsworthy, again, I would say, as I brag endlessly about this particular player who doesn't play, is because EA Sports is coming out with a new college video game. And so, not to bore you with legal details, but the reason why name, image, and likeness is even a thing today is because of video games. It goes back several years. Actually, a basketball player at UCLA, and for good reason, and it was a worthy legal case that ended up in front of the Supreme Court, and that was one day he or someone close to him said, you know what's weird? Why am I on that video game and I don't get anything for it? His name was Ed O'Bannon. And it ended up in a lawsuit that I think eventually threw the door open for players to, quote, sell themselves. So now EA Sports is now getting back into a college football video game. And the catch here is they got to pay you. They got to pay you. And they should, by the way. I think name, image, and likeness in its current form is nothing but a slush fund, and it's pretty cheesy and slimy and really bad for practically everybody. But you should have every right, whoever you are, to your commercial likeness. Period. End of story. It's right. EA Sports then reached out to 10,000 college football players. I don't even know if there's such a thing. I don't believe that number, but that's what they're saying. And almost all of them said yes for $600. Hey, any one of us would do it right now. Imagine being in college and somebody said, hey, I just need to let you know, would you check this box and you'll get $600 because we might put you in a video game. There's no one breathing right now, except one guy, that would say no. And I think it's cool. I'm so happy when people don't like to be stars. It makes me happy. The restraint shown by the backup to the backup quarterback at the University of Texas is an absolute breath of fresh air. You know, we live in a world, all of us, adults included, of look at me now, notice me now. I think everybody wants to see what I'm having for lunch today. I think everybody wants to see me, my new nose today. I think everybody wants to see my vacation pictures. Everybody wants to see my kids, and nobody really wants to see it. This is a breath of fresh air. This makes me happy. Backup to backup quarterback Arch Manning is just a breath of fresh air. I'll go beyond that. It's really cool. This is so against the grain, it's really, really cool. I'm a fan of this kid, and I'm rarely a fan of anything or anybody. I'm a fan of this kid now not because of what he does at all. I'm a fan because of what he doesn't do, of what he goes out of his way not to do. It's really remarkable. Now, I want you to notice something, and let's be very clear about this, because I say the name Arch Manning, it's like Pavlov's dog now, right? People just start freaking out. Greatest ever, greatest ever. I want you to be very aware of something I'm not going to do. At no point in the next several minutes, as I brag endlessly about how happy I am that this guy is fighting against stardom every step of the way, at no point am I ever going to say he's going to be a great player. I won't say it. Not because, I don't know, he's not going to be a great player, but because I have no idea. And you know what? Neither do you. By the way, neither do you. Nothing of what I'm about to say is about his football ability whatsoever. Nothing. And I mean it. I'm not saying he's not good. I have no idea. I've seen the driving range. I've been pretty good at the driving range myself. I have no idea what kind of player he's going to be. Arch Manning is the most famous recruit ever at the University of Texas. And I say that as a guy that's been around. And I don't even think anybody's even close. I can't, and I played with guys and knew of all the legends. No one has had the hype and build up, not just at Texas. I think you could argue he is probably the most famous high school recruit of all time. And that sounds a little dramatic, but I don't think it's all that far off because we live in a different time of social media and stardom and all that stuff. He comes from, as we all know, the royal family of football. And the family is a hugely successful brand, possibly an even bigger brand now than when they were playing. It's pretty remarkable. The Mannings have been stars for decades. It's really amazing. They're stars now. So he played limited snaps last year, and he was in mop-up duty, and fans and media acted like Tom Brady stepped on the field. It was if Brady had just come back and won a Super Bowl. That's the way people acted. And the guy, Arch Manning, is playing in mop-up duty in a meaningless game. And fans and media just went crazy. He stepped on the field in this completely meaningless game in meaningless mop-up duty, and people went so crazy it was absurd. Now, that wasn't his fault. None of it's his fault. It was just a celebration of football royalty. That's what I think that's about. It was fans and media being obsessed with the star power, the name. And what's great about this kid is he gets it. He really does. And I'll give you a couple of examples, including the most against-the-grain move I can think of 2024. So fans and media want him to be a star because he's already a star. It just the narrative fits. It's fun. It's reality TV meets every desire for college football that you have. He's the biggest star. You know what the coolest thing about Arch Manning is? It has nothing to do with football. Okay, remember, I'm going to keep saying this. I don't know if he's going to be any good, and you don't know if he's going to be any good. The coolest thing about this kid is that he's a rock star that's trying not to be a rock star. In a time when everybody, no matter you're not a rock star, when people think they're rock stars. It's a time in a generation of look at me now, always. He's doing the most unheard of thing of all. He's saying, don't look at me now. Even better, he's saying, don't look at me because I haven't done anything. It's awesome. Wait, Jeff, you're most excited about a player who doesn't like being a star. That is exactly right. And it's not just that. It's the level that he goes to avoid being a star. He turned down the $600. Now, I know you're going to say, well, the money, he doesn't need the money. Wait a second. Who wouldn't say yes when the video game company says, hey, do you care if I use your likeness? He did. He did. Because he knows it's just, I don't need to go there. I need to stay in my lane. It's beautiful. It is such a breath of fresh air. It's the latest example of him trying really, really hard to be under the radar, which is impossible when your name is Manning, but he really works hard at being under the radar. Arch Manning did what they say. Are there even 10,000 college football players? That doesn't even seem possible to me. No one cares about 995 of them. Arch Manning did what 10,000 other college players didn't do. He turned down EA Sports and the college football game of 2025. And yes, it's newsworthy because everything he does is newsworthy, but the most newsworthy thing is the guy said no. Because I shouldn't say yes. That's why. Here you go. Yahoo Sports reports today more than 10,000 college football players. I don't know about that. 10,000 college football players have already agreed to be in EA Sports College Football 25 this summer. This according to ESPN's Adam Rittenberg. This marks a huge step for the company as it brings back its once popular video game. One notable holdout. One. And it makes me happy. It's like the one person not posting TikTok videos, whoever you are, if you exist, you're a breath of fresh air. That's really hard to believe. One notable holdout, Yahoo Sports reports, appears to be Texas redshirt freshman Arch Manning. Yeah, good. Not because everything against EA Sports. It's just this continuation of this kid doing all he can to push back and say, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. And he's right. Though Manning won't be in the game, several other notable players have already committed. According to ESPN, Quinn Ewers is in the game. He didn't say no. And by the way, I don't fault anybody for saying yes. I don't. I mean, if somebody wants to use your likeness, you should get paid. ESPN reports Quinn Ewers, Colorado's Travis Hunter, Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, Alabama's Jalen Milroe, and Oregon's Dylan Gabriel have all opted in. Okay. The upcoming release this summer marks the first edition of the game since the NCAA Football 14 was dropped on July 9 of 2013. I mean, it's really a pretty remarkable time in gaming history that they didn't know what to do when they figured out, oh, no, we got to pay these dudes? Uh-oh, forget it, we're out. Now they're back in, so here's the way it's going to work. So it's the first time since they dropped the game in July 9 of 2013. EA Sports has launched a new NIL deal to compensate players for appearing in the game. They'll be paid $600 and receive a free copy of the game for agreeing to be in it. By hitting the 10,000 player mark, EA Sports said it hit 87% of its goal for the game, which I don't know what that's about. I don't really care because I like the guy who's not going to do it. I like the guy who's not going to do anything. I really like the guy who says, just don't talk to me. I haven't done anything. So think of how out of the ordinary this is. All right, here's a person trying not to be a star in a social media era when everybody wants to be a star, and he's already a star. And yes, he's wealthy, got it. But that doesn't stop most celebrities. It doesn't stop anybody from these kids listed on EA Sports that are going in. They're already wealthy, including the guy starting in front of Arch Manning. They're going to do it. The kid's done one interview. One. And that was at the end of the year, at the end of the season, and he was embarrassed by that one. He could do an hour and a half every day of the week. He could do 3 hours a day every day of the week. And what's great is he had nothing to say. Instead, knowing who he is and what a circus is around him, he goes out of his way not to do stuff. I mean, I don't think we ever take the time, because I guess there's no examples like this, but just take the time for a second. Now, I'm going to tell you the other reason why what he's doing now is amazing. Completely against the grain. But think about now, in a time when all we know is people in front of their phone, in front of a microphone. Here's a guy who won't do it, and he could do it all day, every single day. Most stars are unaware and are tone deaf. I mean, really, not just college kids, but stars of every level are unaware and completely tone deaf. Most high-profile people, period, are tone deaf. He micromanages himself publicly as a college kid. It's pretty remarkable. Now, here's another amazing thing about Arch Manning, as I continue to brag about someone who doesn't like to brag about themselves, because I think it's really cool for a change. As of now, I'll admit, this could change any minute, and I could be wrong. But in a world of, think about this, not only has he gone out of his way not to do the video, not only has he gone out of his way to do one news conference, he goes out of his way not to talk. He's staying at the same school. That's really out of the ordinary. I mean, again, this could change. But in a college football world of, you play me now, and not only you play me now, I want the ball X amount of times. So just playing me now is not enough. I need to be able to do some stuff now or I'm going to leave. And you know what most guys do? They leave. They leave. They leave in a heartbeat. They leave the second they think they're not only not the starter, they're not going to get the ball as much as they want. The college landscape now is filled with players of all kinds, certainly quarterbacks, who leave the minute they don't think they're going to play. Okay? So this kid comes to Texas as a rock star. He sits the bench and even gets bypassed in the games where he could have played. He's not even the second guy off the bench. Again, you can say, well, maybe he's not that good. Right, that's not the point. The point is, find any college quarterback around today that wouldn't have bolted. Not just the day the coach said, that guy's going in, not you. Those guys would leave right then. They would leave right away. Not only that, as of now, and I keep saying as of now, he's coming back for a second year of sitting on the bench. That is off the charts unheard of. Oh, but Jeffy's going to be the starter. No, he's not, and nor should he be. Fools, you went to the Final Four. I'm pretty sure you don't take the ball away from the guy that took you to the Final Four. So there's every indication he doesn't play another year. Now, he might get mop-up duty again. He might be the first person off the bench, but there's no college player, because they all think they're the greatest ever. There's no college player that sticks around. There's very few college players. In fact, it's almost to the point you can make an argument, I don't know, kid. 2 years of your college experience without playing, I don't know if I'd do that. As of now, he's going to sit again. Sit again and not do interviews again, which is unheard of. 99% of college quarterbacks today, even those that aren't any good, certainly don't have the last name of Manning, 99% of them would have bailed immediately when they find out they're not the starter. They'd really leave if they find out they're not the first person off the bench. If they realize they're the third guy, 99% of them are gone that afternoon and whine about it the entire time and post comments about it the entire time. So, yeah, I just spent 12 minutes bragging about a guy who doesn't play. Yeah. And it's the most, think of it this way, this is the most unlikely 2024 story of stardom. A rock star who realizes he doesn't deserve to be a rock star and pushes back on it. And I don't know him at all. I don't really care. All we know is publicly what you see, and what's great is publicly you don't see. Because he would say, I don't deserve it. And he's right. He gets, you know what's my favorite part of this? He gets the, I wouldn't say rarely followed, I'm going to say never followed concept of head down, stay in your lane.